Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to the Somerville, City of Somerville Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for Wednesday, November the 20th. For the record, it's 6:03. Pursuant to the Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting of the Somerville Zoning Board of Appeals will be conducted via remote participation. A recording of these proceedings can be accessed at any time using the registration link at the top of this agenda. Tonight, I'd like to welcome our staff people are always behind us and make this possible. We have Andrew Grominski, and we have Stephen Carey, and we have a new person with us tonight. Her name is Kit Luster. Did I get that right? There you are. Yes, you are. Welcome. And I guess we're going to have a couple other people joining us, hopefully. But your whole board's on tonight. We have Brian Cook, Ann Brockelman, Zach Zaremba, Cece Daglian, Ann Fullerton, and I am Susan Fontano. So without further ado, I'm going to ask the clerk to get us going. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair, the first case is a continuance. Should I make the motion?
Please do.
In the matter of 200 Inner Belt Road, case ZP 24-000 0094. I make a motion to continue the case to December 18th.
Very good. May I have a second, please? Ann Fullerton, seconds. All in favor, as we go around, please say aye. Brian Cook,
Aye.
Cece Daglian,
Aye.
Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
Ann Fullerton,
Aye.
Zach Zaremba,
Aye.
and me, Susan Fontano. Okay. All votes in the affirmative, the motion carries. Next, please.
We have a second case being continued. That's 76 to 78 Powder House Boulevard.
Yep.
I make a motion to continue this case, which is ZP 24-000029, to the December 4th hearing.
Okay, can I don't believe this was opened ever. So I believe we have to open it. Adam Grominski, opening this meeting, opening.
Through you, Madam Chair, we don't need to do that. We don't need to open it. You can just continue it and then open it at the next meeting.
Okay.
Continue.
So may I have a, thank you. So may I have a second on the, thank you, a second on the motion to continue by Ann Fullerton. All in favor, please say aye. Ann Fullerton,
Aye.
Cece Daglian,
Aye.
Brian Cook,
Aye.
Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
and Zach Zaremba.
Aye.
Thank you. Let the record show all members voted the affirmative to continue 76 to 78 Powder House Boulevard till 12/4. Thank you. Okay. Now, next should be 25 Atherton Street.
Yes, I will open the case, Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
25 Atherton Street, case ZP 24-000039. Carr Schoolhouse Condo seeks zoning relief from the maximum front setback for an accessory structure to an apartment building in the urban residence zoning district, which requires a hardship variance.
Thank you very much. All the parties for 25 Atherton Street here.
Chair Fontano, may I speak?
Yes, please do, Mr. Kravitsky.
I was just notified by Steve Carey that he doesn't recognize or see the applicant's name that was on the application materials, but I do see a Greg Mara with their hand raised, so they may be representing or acting as the applicant for tonight, but I'm just gonna wait for Steve to confirm.
Sure. Steve
Okay.
Gary here. I'm the case
Thanks,
planner
Steve.
for this.
Yes, Steve?
Greg Mara, I'm gonna unmute you. You can unmute yourself on your end. If you are the representative for 25 Atherton, please let us know.
I am. I'm here because
Oh.
our property manager, Christine, had a family emergency tonight, and so I am here to represent the condo trust.
Gotcha. Thank you for being here. Okay, we'll promote
We're
you to
promoting,
panelist.
Yep, Greg right now.
Yep. So
There you are.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, where are you? Just, yeah, there you are. Mara, is it pronounced Mara?
Mara, but thank you.
Mara. What role is it you play in this project? Who are you? What do you do?
I'm a member of the condo trust's EV committee that has been pursuing this project.
Oh, okay, all right. And the person that was supposed to be here tonight was who?
That is Christine, who is our property manager, but she has a family emergency and was unable to attend.
All right, but just so we know how the players are. Thank you. So please go ahead and tell us what you're trying to do tonight.
Yep, I'll speak for a minute. The trust is seeking relief on the 20-foot front lot setback requirement for accessory structures, which include electric vehicle chargers. Our special circumstance is that the shape and location of the parking lot, which is located at the corner of Atherton and Harvard Streets, is almost entirely within the front setback area. Contains 19 deeded parking spaces and was established when the building was converted to condos in the late 90s. Without the variance, it would be impossible to install electric vehicle charging on the property, which impacts several owners who have electric vehicles and is counter to the city's decarbonization goals. The actual charging stations are small and unobtrusive and partially screened by an existing black iron fence. The chargers won't change the character of the neighborhood or impede views of the building. I'd like to thank the board for your consideration, and I can try to answer questions as best I can.
Beautiful, thank you so much. Should we go right to the public? Mr. Grubinsky?
Sure, Madam Chair. At this time, I'm not seeing anyone with the raised hand feature. If you are here for this case, please use the raise hand feature. Go ahead, Chair Fontana.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I jumped the thing a little bit here. If nobody has their hand up right now, let's put pause on that, please.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We do have one member of the public with their hand raised, but we can proceed with public comment now if you'd like, or we can, however you want to go.
I'd rather wait.
Okay.
I'd like Greg to just go over a couple of things that I had a question with, and then maybe some of the public will tweet this and then they open it up to the board. This is a private lot. Nobody ever parks there but you folks.
No, the spaces are deeded to individual condo owners.
Beautiful. And these chargers, are you folks giving up spots to put in these 8 charging spots?
No, the chargers will be installed at the existing deeded spaces for the unit owners who've chosen to participate.
Oh, okay. So unless the condo owner who owns that spot also deeded to do this, then nobody else is doing it. Got eight spots, right?
There are 8 chargers that will serve
Yep.
12 spots. Some of them are dual plug chargers.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, thank you for your patience. I just wanted, I was getting a little confused on something. So, yeah.
Chair Fontana, you cut out for a second. You appear to be having some technical difficulties. Your screen is pixelating. This is Andrew from planning speaking. Looks like we lost Susan. I'll work to get her back. This is Andrew speaking with planning staff. Vice Chair Brockelman, do you want to step in the meantime until Chair Fontana returns?
Sure. I can do that. We've moved to board comments and discussion. Is that right?
That is correct.
I think if you do want to allow public comment, I believe there was one member of the public who had their hand raised previously.
Okay, I think we'll open the public comment period then.
I see a hand raised for Nicholas Linsky. I'm going to allow you to speak.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how to turn my camera on. Anyway, thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak and for a meeting on this. Although I'm not directly affected, my spot is on the building side, not on the fence side. I want to speak on behalf of the people.
Hello,
I want
hi,
to
Yes, we can hear you. We've moved to the public comment period, Susan.
continue. I wanted to speak on behalf of the people that are going to be affected, especially as the Massachusetts electric vehicle mandate kicks in 2026. 35% of the vehicles apparently are going to be required to be electric, and within 10 years, they're all supposed to be electric, which sounds like a long time, but I've been here almost 30 years, so 10 years doesn't seem like such a long time. And that could definitely be a hardship if you have to buy an electric car and you can't charge it at home. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
And can you please, for the record, state your
but I
name?
don't want to do that. That's what I would say.
Pardon?
For the record, please state your name and address, please.
Nicholas Linsky, 25 Atherton Street, number 36.
Thank you.
Hello, can you folks hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Because I changed computers totally. Sorry for that interruption. I apologize to everybody.
Okay, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. How do you stop it? Well, continue doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Can you hear? Am I all right?
We had one public comment and I
Yeah,
could ask Andrew if there are any others.
This is Andrew speaking. At this time, I am not seeing anyone else with their hand raised.
thank you, Andrew. I'm sorry for the confusion. I tried answering, but it wouldn't answer. Something must have happened. So that's it for the public portion.
This is
Who
Andrew
was the, what
speaking.
was?
That
Yeah,
is correct.
what was his name?
Nicholas Linsky.
Okay. All right, and we'll leave the public open.
This is restart.
We'll leave the public portion open in case anybody chimes in, because this was supposed to be a little bit later. Yes, please.
Don't
Okay,
touch it.
so now let's go to our board and see what you folks have to say, or what questions you might have for the applicant. Who has a question? Would you raise your hand, please? Zach Zaremba. Good evening, Zach. Go right ahead, please.
Oh, Mr. Mara, I don't personally have any issue with what you're proposing tonight. I've looked through the supporting documents and it seems fine to me. And I'd like to help people own electric cars,
I
but in order to grant this, we need to satisfy 3 criteria that satisfies a hardship variance, which wasn't really articulated. So I can't really feed that to you. So I'm going to propose that you share with us in 3 categories. Are there any special circumstances that relate to the soil conditions, the shape, or the topography of the land that the lot is on? Is there any enforcement of this ordinance that would cause a substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to you and the board? And can we grant this relief without causing public detriment? So I think it would help if you could sort of outline those three items for us.
Well, I'll do my best. I think fundamentally it is the shape of the lot that prevents the installation of electric vehicle charging stations almost anywhere else on the lot. The deeded parking spaces are primarily within the 20-foot setback. And so there's not really an alternative that would allow any alternative location. So I think that has to do with the shape of the property. In terms of the enforcement, I think your second point was what's the financial hardship created?
Yeah.
So I think, Nicholas spoke about this. He's a resident of the building. As owners start to get electric vehicles, this makes it more difficult to charge those electric vehicles.
Okay,
And we have a contract with our electrical installer where we're pursuing to install these. So I think that there might be commitments that we've made financially towards the installation of the chargers. And then grant without causing public detriment. Again, these are small chargers mounted to small poles. And so I think that there's no visual obstruction. There should be no sort of like nuisance caused by the chargers. And so I don't believe that there would be public detriment caused by these. Take some polluting cars off the road and replace them with battery ones.
Yeah, thank you. That was helpful.
Oh, Susan, I believe you are muted.
I am. I don't know what's going on here, but this is, I have a quick question to piggyback on what you just said to Zach. These charging stations, I did see them and I've been seeing them around other cities. They are nice and compact, but where you're putting the charger is like 4 feet, but the poles are higher. They're like 8 feet, aren't they? Is that what it said in the report? Did I read that?
Yeah, I believe there's a photograph of the charger station that's provided in the report. I am not 100% sure that the latest details we have our electrical contractor. They are somewhat taller than 4 feet because they have a sort of pulley to prevent the cable from dragging on the ground and becoming damaged. So I think that they are taller than a typical person.
Yeah, they are. That's what I just cruised over. So that's something to consider. I like the idea that they're black and I like the idea that they'll match your black fencing around.
Yeah, we have black light posts as well.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? I'm not through. I just got to go through some stuff here. Who wants to? Ann Fullerton, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Mara, my one question is, you need a substantial footing for a post that tall to make it stable, especially if it has a cord that is being pulled on. And it looks like there's one post that's sited to go right next to a 12-inch caliper tree, which could hurt the tree if you're trying to put a footing in that would support that post. So I wanted to know if your team had discussed that problem at all or conflict.
My understanding is that our installer, which is a company named Innoviz, has not indicated that any trees need to be taken down. And if that changes, we would, of course, pursue whatever permits that requires.
With that, I'm going to piggyback again in on you. That picture, it says you come right in the gate is the tree. Is that a parking spot now already? And is the tree in the way of the spot?
Are you referring to the tree on the south side?
On the left side, in the picture,
Oh,
the left side of the opening,
there's
a tree.
There's no gate on the left side, the west side of the building. There's a gate to the sidewalk on the south side, sort of
I'm
near
not
where.
asking about the,
Mhm.
okay. Right, let me-
Chair Fontano, if I may, I think I can provide a little bit of clarity. The picture you're referring to is the street view that appears in the staff memo. Is that right?
Right, correct.
Yep. So I think what you're looking at, that's a view from Atherton Street, which is the street that runs
Oh, I
east-west.
apologize.
Right on the western side of that entrance in, there's a 14-inch caliper maple that you're looking at. That one that one in particular would not be affected by any of this installation. All of the chargers are going to be, well, half of the chargers are going to be on that sort of left side of the lot as you're looking in along Harvard Street, but
Correct.
they wouldn't
Correct.
affect that particular tree that you see.
Okay, well, that's what I'm trying to, when I'm looking at this, I could see the opening and I could see, I asked the question was, is that already a parking spot? That was my first question.
Yeah, there's no change to the parking as a result of
The
this.
layout that's been there.
It's the same
Great.
layout.
Oh, good. That was important to me. So that tree stayed. And what about the one on the right side then, the little one? It looks like a newer tree. It should be okay.
That tree is also far from any of the proposed locations.
Madam
Beautiful.
Chair,
Yes, Ann
The-
Fullerton, please.
the tree I'm referring to is on the left-hand side and it's the third tree down in that street view. That's the only one that their plot plan location shows a conflict. All the
Okay.
other locations look like they're relatively far away from trees.
I'm concerned with the aesthetics. It's a lovely setting. And I like the foliage that's around there now. It's complementary with all the cars. It kind of softens the look and protects the area and the buildings. So you're not talking about the very first tree that Steve and I were referring to. You're going further into the parking lot on the left-hand side, the tree there. Okay. So, Greg, can you answer that?
My understanding is that our
Steve?
contractor has not indicated that any trees need to be removed as part of this project.
And what were you saying, Ian Fullerton, about damage at is it gonna bother the tree when they have to dig in and put the charger in? Wasn't that the question?
Yeah, my concern is that trees have a large root ball, especially once they get to, 12-inch caliper, which means that their root ball is a few feet out past the caliper of the tree, in all directions. And my concern is that they're probably gonna need like, I don't know, an 18-inch or 2-foot wide footing in that spot. And for each post to support a 7-foot tall, 6 or 7 foot tall post that's getting pulled on with cords. So, I mean, I think that just to be clear, I think in general, I support the intention of this application. My only condition is that there wouldn't be any trees that would be damaged, that they would adjust the layout of the posts to not damage any of the existing large site trees.
Steve, can you speak to that by any chance?
I mean, I concur with Board Member Fulton that based on the location shown in the plan, it looks like there would be a conflict there. But as the applicant stated, the installer has not said that any trees would need to be removed, or hasn't indicated that, at least at this point. I would note that there is a tree preservation ordinance, so there would be, if that tree would have to be removed, there would be a process in place that they'd have to go for a permit from the tree warden. I imagine that necessitates replanting or doing something to make up for any loss of foliage. But I mean, I have the same information that you do and that the applicant does, that it does appear that there'd be a conflict there, but again, it sounds like the installer has not indicated or confirmed that any tree would be removed.
Okay. Keep that out there. Okay. I believe Ann Brockelman had her hand up. Yes, Ann.
Yes, I know I think it is worth beating a dead horse here with the tree. I think if a tree were to be removed, it would be substantially detrimental to the neighborhood because it's already an asphalt parking lot. And unfortunately, the city has a history of utility companies just chopping down trees regardless of processes that are already in place. You get the workers there, they're just gonna do their job, which is install. So I would beg Mr. Mara to really check this well, and that the layout, the location of that charger be reconsidered. I mean, I guess chopping and replanting is another way. But I'm concerned that the answer I heard was, then we'll pursue the permit to remove the tree if the tree needs to go. I would like you to make every effort to save the tree and maybe just alter the layouts a bit. So
Also,
would like to
everybody
know-
remember, this is historic. This falls under historic preservation as well. Ann Brockelman.
yes, I mean, unfortunately, it would surprise no one if you did everything right and the utility guys went out and still chopped the tree, because that's happened many times in the city, unfortunately. So, that's why I'm getting all worked up with the tree, because this has happened repeatedly.
Well, maybe we should continue discussing this right now, iron out all the kinks. And if we have some questions that we don't have to vote tonight, we can continue this to find out from the proper person what the story is and get it in concrete. Brian Cook.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand the concern about the tree. However, it seems like it's, well, not beyond our authority to perhaps ask questions about it. There is a separate authority in the city that would require the condo trust to get approval before they could either remove it or replace it. I think we're really supposed to be making a decision on the setback variance. And it worries me that we're adding all these additional layers on what is a question of whether they can have a variance on the violation of the setback requirement. So actually, I need to ask a question, and perhaps the planner, Steve, can address this through you, Madam Chair. Is it all of the Harvard Street posts that are within the front setback there are violations of front setback?
Yes, yeah. So ISD has determined that what they are seeking is a variance for accessory structure setback that basically looks at all of these chargers as one sort of cumulative accessory structure.
Yeah.
But based on, what is arguably the uniqueness of the lot, having a parking lot on the corner of a corner lot, and relative to where the building is, essentially all of that parking lot is within the 20-foot front setback. I think if you're looking at that plot plan, there may be maybe two, maybe like in the upper, if you're looking at that plan, the upper right corner of that plan, there may be those two may not be within the 20 feet, but in terms of all of those along Harvard Street, all of them are within the 20-foot setback, yes.
Okay, so but it's immaterial whether they interfere with the tree or not, because they're already in violation of the 20-foot setback from the front lot line.
Yes.
Okay, so either we say we're not going to approve the variance because there's not enough justification for the three criteria, or we are. I don't see how solving the tree problem addresses the variance, the relief sought for the variance. That's what I'm questioning. And maybe Madam Chair Ann Brockelman can respond, since I'm the one who's I raised the issue with her and
No,
member
go
Fullerton.
ahead, Ann.
I guess I'm wondering if that is number 3, desirable relief could be granted without causing substantial detriment to the public good. Are we still mixing? And to me, that's number 3. but I'm happy to, again, move forward and have staff follow up on the tree issue as well. That's okay. But I do have another question.
Go ahead.
Just technical, looking at the site plan. So yes, the 20 feet, because it's a corner lot, so there are two frontages, right? So we're doing 20 feet on both sides. The transformer, that's mentioned, but is that part of relief being sought as well? Because that's now in the side setback? Because it's, the lot line is with your butter now, not on the street. Could you clarify what the dimensional issue is that the transformer is, staff?
Sure, I can clarify through you, Madam Chair.
Sure.
The transformer I know was a subject of discussion between this applicant and ISD, determining where to locate it such that that wouldn't require a second variance. So they have determined that the transformer location as proposed now is not within that setback area and, subject to relief.
Okay, so not under our consideration.
Right.
No. Okay. Well, I'm willing to go on, but I want to say something. When these cases come up, we're part of the layers of what's going to happen to make this happen. And I like the point that, Brian, you're keeping us on track, but these things have got to be said, and they've got to go in the record somehow, that we're paying attention to all these things. We're not just narrowly sighted and just worrying about, what's in front of us about setback, that we have to discuss all these things, because these people now, they're going to go from here, and they're going to go to historic preservation, and inspectional services already was involved. So it is part of the mix. It's a big mix, and we should discuss it. But I applaud you for keeping us on track, because we could talk about the tree for 5 hours. I get it.
Through you, Madam Chair, I would just also, just as a reminder that the tree is on private property, and I was just looking over the ordinance, the tree warden ordinance.
Yeah,
and
interesting.
it does look like there may be some sort of replacement tree requirement. But I guess the point I'm making is that these trees could, theoretically be removed at any time by the property
Sure.
owner, should they
Right.
desire. So yeah, I think just to bear that in mind when you're thinking about this.
Sure. And my final comment on that would be that I think the condo trust people, that we have Greg here tonight and Christina, she's not here. They've got to know where we're coming from as a city, that, we want them to be good neighbors to everybody, and we want to be good neighbors to them as well, the city itself. And that, you come up the proper way, you've got a nice, beautiful building that's all restored. And, we're being socially conscious about the electricity and stuff like that. They're trying to do all the right things. Well, so want we. So I think when we see the representative here tonight, as we go forward now, he's going to go back and say, listen, everything went well tonight, or whatever. And we've got to pay attention to the trees, make sure we follow up, that everybody's on the same page. At our last resort, we don't want to lose any of that stuff, because I think it's a setting, the school there and all that, and the round buildings up there, and it's a nice, beautiful area. So I think when we talk about these things, we waste a little time maybe, or, things really aren't applicable. But I think it's nice that the applicants go away knowing how we value their property too for them, and want to keep it nice. We want you to have a nice, successful project and have everybody happy. So who else would like to talk about setback? And go ahead. Cece, anything? Ian Fullerton, anything else?
I'm supportive
Brian?
of the project. I think the need to have a plug-in charger outweighs some of the issues discussed, particularly if the trees can be replanted elsewhere on the property. I would trust in the goodwill of the condo association to do so.
Thank you, Cecilia. So, are we in favor of this, yes or no? And if it's yes, then we have to answer our considerations for the hardship variance. When we make our motion, is everybody in favor? You're gonna go in favor of it? I think Zach is, Cecil is, Ann is, I am, Ann Fullerton, are you comfortable with this?
I'm still not completely convinced that having 6 or 7 foot tall metal poles is not a detriment to the public good if there are no trees to camouflage them. I understand the arguments that have been made about our purview and the layers of review required. But I do think that had they been asking to do this project without there already being tree coverage, I probably wouldn't be in favor, and I'd be asking them to look for a different charger. So I'm not 100% there yet. I do feel like there should be some sort of consideration to the existing site, qualities of the site, and maintaining that, since they're requesting to apply a new condition.
All right,
I also don't think you need 100% board vote. So
no, we don't, we just need the 4. Okay. And we're at 1, okay. So, but here's, all right, so tonight, I'm gonna have, let's see here. We'll have Brian on this case, Cece on the next, to vote. And write this is for, all right, okay. So are we ready to vote? Is there anybody that has any comments? Or does the applicant or does staff have anything to say to answer Ann Fullerton's comments about the greater good? And Greg, what do you want to say to Ann to convince her to vote yes for you tonight? What can
I
you
think
clarify?
the only example I can offer of the trust's intent and our past behavior, the 2-foot tree that's marked on the plan in front of the building, our insurer told us we had to cut it down because it was creating a tripping hazard in the parking lot. And we specifically fought back against that and repaved in a flexi asphalt, I don't know the technical term, that region of the parking lot specifically to preserve that tree because we value the tree coverage so much. So our recent past actions have demonstrated that the trees are important to us.
Thank you. Anybody else want to add anything? Yes, Brian Cook, please.
I really, it would have been nice if we had had a street view picture with a proportional imposed overlay of one of the chargers so we could see what it would actually look like on the site. But since we don't have that in front of us, we have to use our imagination. And I happen to walk by that site often because I live fairly close by, and it's a favorite walk because of that corner area and the school condo and the trees, which are an important part of the aesthetic pleasure of walking past the site. So I've been trying to imagine a 7 or 8 foot pole in at least the 4 along Harvard Street and what they would look like. And they won't be hidden by the trees very much during the wintertime. Wintertime is not a particularly attractive time of year anyway, so I'm not sure that would make that much of a difference, but it is, I can understand Member Fullerton's concern that it would alter the entire look of what is a very valuable little area in that neighborhood that I'm sure people enjoy walking past and seeing. And what
Mhm.
we're trying to do is meet the desires of the condo trust and the public. And so I understand many of the arguments about this being a question of whether it's a detriment to the neighborhood and the public good under this particular part of the zoning ordinance. And I guess it's really an aesthetic judgment. And I am leaning toward voting for it because the advantages of doing this for other parts of the public good, getting gas-powered cars off the street, reducing our carbon footprint, et cetera, et cetera. And if we don't lose any trees, they're contributing to reducing carbon emissions as well. I think that in my particular case, I would have to say that that's the determining factor. And in that respect, I guess I'm agreeing with Cecilia.
Thank you. I have a question that I don't know can be answered tonight. If it's one of the charging stations that's really messing this up a little bit with the tree story, is that something as you can you go with one or are they all connected like dominoes? You know what I'm saying? Can you not break up the lines of energy, so to speak? And is that something, if we approve this tonight for the 8th, and they go away and they have their meetings and they're talking about how serious we felt the tree was and all this jazz, and they talk to their engineers and they say, well, you know what? We can go forward with this project, dropping one of those charges on that side off. And as opposed to losing the tree, whatever. Is that something, once we approve for 8, can they go back to 7 and just do it if they can? I mean, somebody's already bought into it, they want to do it, and who do you say loses? I know it opens up a can of worms, but I think we kind of all feel the same thing, that, and I like the idea they did this black pole to match their fencing, as opposed to some of these others I've seen. They're yellow, they're white, they're green, because they're trying to get attention. Those are public ones, I know. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead, take a vote. They need 4. We have 4 regular members, and one of the alternates is in tonight for the 5th member, and we can go forward. What is the pleasure of the board? You want to go forward and take a vote? Yes. Zach's yes. Cece is yes. Anne's yes. Okay. All right, Brian, you're on to vote. So could Anne, please, Anne, you have something to say?
Yes, I guess, thank you, staff, Steve Carey, for reminding me that it is private property, so that has changed.
Important, yep.
I mean, different towns have different ordinances, how stringent they are. But I think that Mr. Mara has demonstrated that, that the condo cares about trees. But I also wanted to point out perhaps one more thing to Mr. Mara. When all those lines, or to everyone, you're not just digging foundations, they're all conduits. So all those lines, that's the trenching that needs to be dug. So it's not just spot digging for the foundation, but you're connecting all of those, you bring electricity. So for example, the 12-inch one where the line's near to that is also could be threatened because you're still digging a trench for small electrical conduit. So this is just for Mr. Mayor to, research more deeply with the vendor and really communicate that you care about these things and what exactly is their action plan. And then I'm willing to, go by trust that they'll do the right thing. But as an architect, that's would be my advice to you. It's not just those spot holes, right? It's the whole, all the trenching connected. Otherwise, I'm good to vote. do we need to spell out the three points again, or can we just say as
I believe we have to address each one for the
Yeah.
record.
consideration?
Andrew? Mr. Graminsky?
This is Andrew speaking. That is correct.
Yes, I
They're
thought so.
common.
And you have to spell it out. You
Should
have
we-
them in front of you, the criteria?
Should we just say it now? The three findings of the three, or should I make a motion?
I think you should make the motion.
Okay, so in the matter of 22 Atherton Street, I make a motion to grant the requested hardship variance. With these three findings for hardship variance considerations. Number one, special circumstances. It is a corner lot, so they are subject to two 20-foot setbacks and the existing conditions related to the parking lot being at the corner. Number two, little enforcement of this provision would involve substantial hardship. They can't move the parking lot back or rearrange the parking spaces to be behind the 20-foot setback. I think another special circumstance, well, is the categorization of these chargers, which is really urban furniture as accessory structures. And then the third one, desirable relief could be granted without causing substantial detriment to the public good. These structures are like light poles, you know, akin to urban furniture and signage. Anybody want to add? No.
No, I think they're kind of in kind with their fencing, so they can be camouflaged, you know, so they wouldn't be so detrimental, bleeding into everybody's faces, you know, something very odd. I think they're very conservative. And that's good. So those are the three criterias for the motion that was made to approve a hardship variance for 25 Atherton Street. Anybody want to add anything to the motion? No? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor, please say aye when I come around. Ann Fullerton,
Nay.
Brian Cook.
I second the motion and
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. Thank you, Brian. Motion's been seconded. First vote was Ann Fullerton and it was a nay. Brian Cook.
Aye.
Yay. Aye. Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
Zach Zaremba,
Aye.
and Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show we had 4 members in the affirmative and 1 no. The vote carries. Greg, thank you for coming out tonight, and jumping in for Christine.
Thank you.
We promise us you'll go back and do the best you can with what you got. All
Yep, we
right?
love our trees. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody, on this case. Let's jump into our next case, which is, Ann, help me here 1 second.
Yes, 22 McGrath.
Yep,
Open the case.
yes, please.
22 McGrath Highway, case ZP 24-000061. Twin City Plaza LLC proposes a substantial renovation to an existing facade in the commercial business zoning district, which requires a site plan approval.
Thank you, Ann.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Yes, Adam Dash,
How are you?
welcome.
Thank you. Members of the board. Adam Dash, 48 Grove Street in Somerville. I'm here representing Twin City Plaza LLC, which is the owner and applicant regarding the Twin City Plaza Shopping Center at 22 McGrath Highway. With us, and if we could promote them, John Fitzpatrick from Twin City Plaza is here, and Peter Quinn of Peter Quinn Architects is here. This is an application for site plan approval to refresh and update the facade of Twin City Plaza. We've held 2 neighborhood meetings where the proposal was well received. The Urban Design Commission has unanimously chosen our preferred design option and found that the proposal meets the design guidelines of the CB zoning district. Peter has some slides. There's John. Peter has some slides to show you exactly what we're proposing here if he is promoted. Peter?
This is Andrew speaking. Peter has been promoted and has the ability to share a screen when he wants to.
Okay. Sometimes there's a little lag when you promote us until we re-enter the meeting, so that may be where he is in limbo right now.
His name is appearing.
Here he goes.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Good
Thank
evening,
you.
Peter.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Long time no see.
I
With the
know.
ZBA. Anyways, happy to come back and present this project. It's you know, the shopping center. I'm sure everybody's had to go over there to do a little shopping at one time or another. And the appearance of the building is frankly dated. I think the owners would be the first to admit that, and they've they came to us and asked us to try to figure out how to update it without, you know, breaking the bank. But there was the need to simplify the shapes and forms of the building. It actually is an agglomeration of several different buildings that are all of a different vintage and have different aesthetics. So we went back and tried to look at what they had done in the early 2000s and even prior to that, and try to pull it together with a more contemporary design. So just here on your screen, if I may share that. Let's see what I got here. Okay. Yes, there we go. Yeah, see, this is just a hint at what we're looking at here, but you see much cleaner surfaces and clearer signage, signage sort of contained within frames, and creating more kind of interesting doorways and entries into the building. So starting at our corner, which everybody I'm sure is familiar with, this is the view out at Medford Street, right before the building that you approved some years ago on the left, which used to be the refrigerator building. Now we're starting right here with this view out toward Medford. You can see that the existing building has these massive galvanized steel frames on them. That was the thing at that time that they used to pull the building together. And every of the tower elements has these big cornices that come up from those steel frames as well. So that was the basic material that we had to work with. It's really not possible to take these off and start over because they're tied in some cases structurally, in some cases we're not sure, with the existing building. So it was best to just try to work with it, what is there, and see where we can go with it. So we're proposing to cover them with a rigid material, and in some cases paint areas that are now brick or block. And in so doing, we create a new aesthetic. And to give you an example of what that would look like, this is the corner where the office, there's a 2-story section of the building. This is the entry into that tower, or the elevator that takes you up to that second floor. Don't mean to shortcut, but I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with this location. So we would propose to do something like this with that corner, where we have new cladding on the exterior of the tower, and then put some color elements and possibly some aluminum that looks like wood finish as well, that's durable. We try to keep the glazing intact where we can. In some cases, we do replace it. And it's noted as such, but in this case, we were able to work with existing glazing. We'd also paint brick, which is what you're seeing right here. So we have these different color surfaces, all very plain color in order to create some depth to the building. And then continuing to the right here, you see these, the steel is clad now with either a stucco finish or a fiber cement. We're trying to get that priced to determine which one to use, and we got the flexibility from the Urban Design Commission to be able to use either, depending on how it would work out. So this is just a good example of kind of all the vocabulary that we developed aesthetically with this building, you know, with the painted material, the clad material, and some special, you know, finished materials at certain locations. And then moving around the building, you can see where that comes out. So moving down toward the K&G, you see here, this is the early 2000 aesthetic with, again, those big steel galvanized post pilasters, if you will, that are put on the outside of the building. And then spandrel signage and sheet glass. So we took this idea and tried to create more of a framed openings, you know, where we could put the K&G sign or whoever's there in the frame or in front of the frame, you know, playing with that a little bit, opening up some new glazing where possible. We took this element here, which is there's a relatively short sign element here. We increased the size of that and took it up higher to create something that looks like this. So it's really kind of pulling together with a new aesthetic. We open up spaces for some murals, which we'd like to do, and then open up a little more glazing, like we're proposing, if possible, to get a little more glazing in Dunkin' Donuts, which right now just has a very limited amount of glazing in the front. So all those things are in play here. As you move around the building a little bit, we go to another part of it, which is where the Marshalls is and the supermarket as well. So what we were proposing here is to try to work again with the steel column, steel pilaster aesthetic, and they have these big cantilever. Actually, they're not even canopies because they're not closed in at the top. They just are create shadow lines on the building. So we took this idea and we want to repaint those, and then on the building itself, we would clad those pilasters with our new cladding, and then paint the old concrete block to get a kind of a cleaner, more uniform aesthetic to it. So that gets us to Marshalls. We would still keep these big cornices up here. They are tied in quite complexly to the original structure. So we leave them up there as well. Moving a little bit to the right here, I'm just going around the building. You see that you have the Walgreens, which is now gone, but there'll be a new tenant there eventually. That is treated in the same way that we showed in other places where we have the pilasters clad and boxed out. And then moving down to the next component, this gives you this is a 3D view looking back at Marshalls and where the Walgreens was. It just opens up some opportunities for murals inside a very big frame that we didn't have before. So, you know, this is a kind of a clean aesthetic, I think. Then we come to the last few legs of this. Let me just get the right screen here. There we go. Okay, so now we go to Star Market. And again, there's another tower there. Then Star Market starts, and we follow the same way of doing this that we had developed elsewhere. Good one. And so this continues down to the corner where there's the last tower as well. And what we would do there is similar to what we have everywhere else. We would continue with this boxed out pilaster and clad the tower pilaster as well with a darkened finish. That's basically what we do. We take this around the corner as well. I think the full set that was submitted with this does show how we treat the side. It's basically the same as what you see right here. And again, I do want to point out that we have some possible areas for artwork and murals on the building. And this would be over painted brick. I think that's about it. The landscaping on the site will get a makeover, but we don't have a plan that shows exactly what would be done yet. That will come with it. We help with the construction drawings that we submit to the city. So I know that's a lot to cover, but it all boils down to a few simple ideas that are just repeated over and over on the building.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Welcome. Thank you.
So if I may, just to be clear, that the building's not changing other than to update the facade as Peter's described. We're not getting into permitting new signage at this point. This is just a modest change which meets the CB district's design guidelines, the goals of a strip commerce building type, and the intent and purpose of the CB zone and the Summer Vision 2040 plan. I would note there are proposed conditions in the staff report that are acceptable. However, condition 8, stating that utility meters are not permitted on any facade or within the frontage area of the lot, needs to be tweaked. As applicant said in the narrative filed with the application, Twin City Plaza would like to move the existing gas meters to the rear of the building that are currently on the front, but that is contingent on Eversource agreeing to do it. They are not Twin City Plaza's meters to move. If that condition could be revised to state that the existing gas meters will be moved to the rear of the building subject to the approval of Eversource, that would more accurately reflect the situation. We certainly want to do it. We just can't promise something that Eversource has to weigh in on. So with that clarification,
that's the area right at Dunkin' Donuts here that I was mentioning about opening up for more glazing.
correct. That's the plan, provided Eversource okays the moving of the meters.
Yeah.
We're working on. But with that clarification, the applicant asks that the board approve the site plan approval to refresh the facade of Twin City Plaza. Thank you.
When have you applied to Eversource or National Grid about the meters? Mr. Dash?
Peter, do you know this, or John, do you know the status of that?
Yes, I've been working with Eversource and to relocate the gas meters to the back. It's part of an upgrade program that they have for the center. It is something I've been working with for them for the last year and a half on. But our ability to change that is also subject to this building permit and this review process.
So the meters that we're talking about are gas meters only?
We're talking about, I think there's 6 or 7 gas meters over by Duncan that field K&G, lower level of Duncan at the fitness, and a couple spaces right there at that corner. Other ones are fed in the back. The gas company has a gas loop that kind of comes around the front of the building and then it kind of circles and hits the back of the grocer. I'll be working with them to relocate that entirely to the back.
These are all gas meters, not electric at all.
Correct, just the small gas bank that's right at the corner of Duncan today.
And when would you be hearing from them about this?
I've seen preliminary application paperwork from them as they work through it. I think they have it programmed in to happen next year in their work schedule. So they reached out to me in regards to upgrading the gas availability, piping in the systems and stuff due to the age of the system that's out there, and which their plan was to originally keep it in the front. I'm working with them to move it to the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just wanted the condition reworded to reflect that, and that's what we said in the application, that our application said that we would do this subject to Eversource's okay, because that's all we can promise. But other than that, the intent is we're all on the same page and trying to want to get them moved.
Right. Let's see. When, how long was the project like this take? If it, I mean, within reason, I understand weather, Mother Nature, the whole bit, but how long of a project, because you do this in phases?
Uh, yes, good evening, and thanks, Adam, and everybody for being on. John Fitzpatrick with the Twin City Plaza, also with the Regency Centers, the owners as well that operate it. I'm looking at this project to kind of hope our goal is to start this in the spring when the weather breaks, and we would be done with this entirely by Thanksgiving or by late fall.
Wow.
So
It is dozen phases. What happens to the stores that are there when it's going on?
every store would be open. If you most of the program here is I will say a high level paint. Obviously with the cladding and the wrapping around the columns will probably be done by lifts. There will be overhead protection if need be to the multiple access points to the tenants for keep their entrance open at all times. This is renovating a center is something that we do quite often. And that's my role with the company is to manage this renovation type of project program for us on a national basis, national level.
Okay. Is there anybody here? Now I see you had a couple of neighborhood meetings.
Yes, we did, Madam Chair. We had the required neighborhood meeting at the beginning of the process. We then went to the Urban Design Commission, and then we had the required second neighborhood meeting with Councilor Scott. So yes, we've been through that. That was very well received by the neighborhood, as the staff report states.
Yeah, it's very pretty, and I think it's a busy enough mall, and I think it needs a new face. I think it'd be very attractive to people in the area. I think it's a good marketing thing to do it. As we go forward with all these projects, always on our minds is playing by the rules, getting things to a little bit better every time we do a project. So that's why like these meters and stuff like that are very important to the city. It's safer, without people in the front going in and out and all that jazz. How long does it take, Mr. Fitzpatrick? How long does it take the utilities to get back to you on a timely basis? Like you're saying, you'd love to start in the spring and be done by Thanksgiving. When might you think you'd be hearing from these folks?
I touch base with them pretty regularly, probably once a month. So they're actually waiting for us to tell them what our schedule is, because it'll involve us having to relocate the gas piping from the front to make a connection in the back, and that would be part of some permanent processes that.
But what are you saying? They're waiting for a yes from you?
They're waiting for us to tell us what our schedule is, so they can coordinate with their schedule to come out.
Okay. Does it look promising to you that they'll move the pipes?
Yes, that's their intention, is to move the piping. They've indicated that they need to, I guess the gas main that's on the property is 70, as not the whole thing, but part of it is 70 to 80 years old or extremely old. And then for them it's part of their safety and modernization upgrade that they need to upgrade the main. So that's why they're wanting to work with us on that. They had actually hoped to do this year.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to open it up to the public right now. Is anybody, Mr. Gruminski, is anybody here from the public?
This is
I know
Andrew
that.
speaking.
Yep.
Chair Fontano, I'm not seeing anybody with their hand raised. If you would like to speak, please use the hand raise feature and we will allow you to speak. Madam Chair, not seeing anyone at this time with their hand raised.
Okay, I guess they were happy with their neighborhood meetings. All right, public. We're gonna go around our board. I'll leave this public portion open just in case somebody chimes in. Start with our board. Anybody have some questions? Can you open this board up, the window for me so I can see the board? I have no way of knowing if they want to speak or anything.
You take the slide or stop sharing.
Peter?
Yep.
Peter? Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thanks, guys. So, who'd like to speak on the board? Do you like what you see? Do you have some questions? Ann Fullerton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm making an assumption that the pallet will be carried to the two back of house elevations of the building complex, but I just want confirmation from the applicant that that's the case.
Yes, that can be the case.
Anybody else? You happy with the new look down the Ann Brockelman?
Yes, I don't have I don't take any exception to this. But I want to check was there mention of the permit conditions? In the staff report, did I hear that that's okay, or were we trying to make revisions to that?
Adam Dash, this is just the conditions. There are 8 conditions, 1 through 7 were fine. It was just condition 8 about the utility meters not being permitted on any facade or within the frontage area, because that is subject to Eversource, which we feel we're gonna get and we're working on. But if for some reason Eversource says, no, we don't want this whole thing to blow up. So we'd like the condition 8 to say instead that the existing gas meters will be moved to the rear of the building subject to the approval of Eversource, because that's actually what's going on. Other than that, the conditions are fine.
But I'm looking at them now here. Sure. Thank you. So has everybody had time to read these? They're happy with them? Good. All right. Are you ready to vote tonight? Yes. Let's do it. I am Brockelman. Yes, son.
We all
Oh, wait a
agree-
minute.
We
What?
all agree to amend that, right?
Right, that's what we're gonna have to do. Yeah.
Eversource? Okay. Okay.
Andrew, you had chimed in. What did you want to say specifically?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to confirm that if that's what the board wanted to do, staff have no problem making sure the decision reflects that. Thank you.
Okay. And how are you gonna word that?
Yes, I can state that in the motion.
Okay, all right. So, may I please have a motion for the vote to approve the matter at 22 McGrath Highway?
Yes, in the matter of 22 McGrath Highway, I make a motion to grant the site plan approval, incorporating those considerations and findings. Oh, sorry, the permit conditions stated in the staff report of November 4th, 2024, with one amendment of the 8th condition, which will read utility meters well, we can just say utility meters are not permitted on any facade or within the frontage area of the lot. But that's subject to the agreement of Eversource, the utility company.
I think that's okay. Is that okay, Andrew Graminsky? The wording of that?
That sounds right. I believe Mr. Dash's wording earlier was appropriate. And we could use that as a condition language.
It's just a statement, Adam Dashkin, mine was just stating, because we're really only talking about the gas meters, not like all utility meters in general.
Oh, yeah.
I was saying that the existing gas meters will be moved to the rear of the building subject to the approval of Eversource. That's specifically what's actually happening here.
Okay.
Great, thank you. For the record, yes, thank you.
Staff has that, okay.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye as we go around. And as I said earlier, Cecilia Daglian is going to be voting on this petition. Ann Fullerton,
Aye.
Zach Zaremba,
Aye.
Cecilia Daglian,
Aye.
Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
and Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show all voting members voted in the affirmative and the positive, so the permit is approved. Good luck, guys.
Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
Make
much
our
for your
neighborhood
time.
beautiful. Nice to see you, Mr. Quinn.
Thank you, and same here to see you.
What,
Nice-
Adam, what are you saying?
Nice to see you as well, and good night. Thank you for your consideration.
All right, hon, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Have a nice
Thanks,
Thanksgiving.
Mr. Fitzpatrick. Thank you
Thank
for your
you all.
input. Okay, so I think that's it. I don't think we have any other business. Does anybody have any comments they'd like to make or make us aware of? Andrew?
Thank you,
Yes,
Madam
sir.
Chair. I know we're live here, but I just wanted to note that Lexi Payne, one of our new planners, is present. She joined after we discussed before the meeting started, so I just wanted to give you a heads up that we have a new planner, as well as Kit Luster, to the PPZ staff. So that's just a heads up.
And
Another
now
planner
where's
will
this
be working.
Lexi still here with us?
Yeah, yes, she is.
Well, sign in, Lexi, so we can see you. We already saw Kit. We're all friends now. There she is. Welcome aboard. You gotta unmute yourself, hon.
Hello
There you
now.
are. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you.
So when did you start with us?
Monday. I was supposed to start last week, but I was sick.
Oh, no,
so-
everybody's been getting it. Yeah, yeah. So tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from? Where'd you work last?
I'm from South Carolina, from like near Charlotte. And then I
Yeah,
lived in Charleston for like 10 years and went to the College of Charleston. And then I worked in like a large rural county down there, and then moved up here last week. So
so now you're a proper Bostonian, huh? Instead of a Southern Peach. Is that what they say?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, welcome aboard. Aboard,
Thank
they're
you.
great people. You'll love working with them. Anybody have anything they'd like to say to Lexi? They're a quiet group, so don't, that's good. That's all right. Well, welcome again and welcome to Kit. Andrew, thank you
Yeah.
for everything tonight, and Steve and the gang that always backs us up. I think it was very productive. And I'd like somebody, please, if you have, nobody has anything to say, does somebody make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes, I make a motion to adjourn the ZBA meeting tonight.
Seconded by
I second.
Cecilia Daglian. Thank you so much. As we go around, yay or nay, Brian Cook,
Yay.
Ann Fullerton,
Okay.
Cecilia Daglian,
A.
Ann Brockelman,
Yes.
and under the Z, Zach Zaremba.
Yay.
Yay. And Susan Fontano. Yay. Thanks, everybody.
Night,
Happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving.
Good
We'll
night.
see you all after Thanksgiving. So
Thanksgiving.
enjoy.